Jake Paul's actually fighting an actual boxer this time? Let's get it. All right, so 5 wins, 4 knockouts. Jake, the problem child Paul, is fighting 12 wins, 1 loss, 6 knockouts. Hasim Gold-Blooded Rahman Jr. All right, now initially he was supposed to fight Tommy Fury, but Tommy Fury couldn't come to America because of mafia ties related to like the Fury family. That's what I saw. But even before that, it just seemed like Tommy Fury ain't really want the smoke like that. I don't know why. I don't know what's up. I just had a feeling that he ain't want the smoke. That's what it seemed like to me. It didn't seem like he wanted much of that smoke, even though the fight was initially scheduled. You know, Jake Paul was even sending texts to him and stuff about Tommy Fury, calling him like scary and stuff. Well, he didn't necessarily say scary, but you know, it was something along the lines of that. So now he's fighting Hasim Rahman. This fight came out of nowhere. I had no idea they even actually sparred. No idea at all. Had no idea they actually sparred. So knowing this and me seeing that video between Jake Paul and him arguing, talking trash to each other, having a whole dispute over a sparring session, that was new to me. I was surprised. I was very surprised. I was like, oh man, so Jake Paul is giving a fighter like Rahman Jr. some issues? I mean, I feel like for Jake Paul's age and how well he's been doing in the boxing, he's pretty good. He's pretty skilled right now. He's doing pretty well. But despite that, still, this fight is still it's going to be a very difficult fight for Jake, in my opinion, because Hasim Rahman actually has a pedigree. All those other boxers that Jake Paul has faced, like Tyron Woodley, who's a UFC fighter, he ain't even a boxer. He's a UFC fighter. You expect the UFC fighter to be mad successful in the ring? No. And also Tyron Woodley was just out of it completely. The first fight was sort of competitive, and he hurt Jake Paul. It was like a clean punch. He left Jake Paul on the ropes after like 1 clean punch. And I was really curious about Jake Paul's chin, but I don't really know about it, man. I don't know about his chin. I don't know if he can take a punch that well. And it doesn't seem like he really can. But despite that, the second fight with Tyron Woodley left himself open after getting caught with like a bait punch, then got knocked out, which was impressive. It was very impressive, even though I feel like Tyron Woodley has some flat ass feet when he fights. Straight flat, nothing else. To continue about Hasim Rahman Jr. though, he seems like a pretty hard puncher, but from his last fight, the one that he got knocked out in, he's pretty slow. He reminds me of his dad. He's pretty slow, man. Slow. I think his dad was a little faster, matter of fact, than when he was younger, but Rahman's pretty damn slow. Like, I feel as though Jake Paul has that speed advantage against Rahman. But we all know who the better boxer is. We all know that Rahman is going to be the better of the two in terms of boxing. In terms of experience and knowledge. Now, just because you have more experience and knowledge don't mean you're going to win a fight. No, of course not, no. But, you know, still, Hasim Rahman Jr. is a very experienced fighter. He was prospect level before he got knocked out by one of Tommy Morrison's like nephews or something. One of his nephews. And he was winning that fight on points too. He was winning that fight in pretty good fashion. He wasn't like dominating the fight completely because he started to gas out. So it makes this fight fair. It makes this fight pretty fair. Like Rahman starts to gas out pretty early, so it would make sense for me to see how he would do against a Jake Paul. Too, because Jake Paul is a person who gassed out a little bit against Tyron Woodley and was really tired in that fight, but he really managed to overcome that and really win that fight in good fashion. It's just that Jake Paul would have to get more acclimated to longer rounds and going to longer distances. I think endurance would be a very good factor in this fight. If Jake Paul could condition himself for 12 rounds, he'd knock Rahman out. If a fighter like James Mackenzie Morrison, who was getting completely outclassed, could do that to Hasim Rahman, then I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul could do the same thing if he had good conditioning. Because it seemed like Morrison had better conditioning, but he was a lot worse of a fighter, way worse. Morrison made him look like an expert boxer in there, which was crazy because Rahman Jr. had a majority decision against a guy who was 3-10 back in 2018, which is not good either. But it isn't early winning your career, but losing on the verge of losing to someone who was 3-10 is not very impressive either. This fight can legit go many ways. I kind of don't know where to go with this one. I feel like Jake Paul has the tools to win. He has a speed advantage. The power advantage, I'm not sure about. All I know is that Paul can hit hard. Rahman is a good fighter too, but his endurance could really be the determining factor. If he had good endurance, he probably would have beaten Morrison by a pretty long decision. Also, he's really slow. Like, I was looking at him fight, then I put up a video of Joseph Parker to really compare. And it was just night and day in terms of speed. And that's something that I feel like Jake Paul could take advantage of if he doesn't get a jab tapped to his face constantly by Rahman, because jabs could stop you. And I wonder how Jake Paul is going to deal with this with a more experienced fighter in the ring. I wonder how he's going to look. I wonder how he's going to do against an actual boxer, because this fight ain't no turnover. This is a 12-1 fighter who is the son of a world champion. I think a 2-time win at that. Now, a world champion father does not mean you're going to be a world champion of a son. An example would be Eubank. Eubank was a fighter, in my opinion, who could have been a world champion, but just wrong place, wrong time. Wrong place, wrong time. He had the IBO belt. That wasn't an official title. I think he could get the WBO, but I don't know. Munguia, like those other fighters too. But I'm getting a little off track. This fight between Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman is very difficult. Very impressive, actually. I'm going to go with Jake Paul because I like to go with the younger fighter all the time. All the time. Well, sometimes, but mostly all the time, yeah. I think Rahman's going to pose a good threat to Jake Paul's chin, though. If Rahman touches that chin, Jake Paul's out. Straight up. Is there going to be like a catch rate for this fight, too? Because Rahman is naturally like 220. So is Rahman going to like lose weight, or is Jake Paul going to gain some weight? I think Rahman's supposed to lose weight. Is he going to be draining himself, or is he just going to be getting rid of some muscle? Some excess muscles for that weight class? Like I don't know. I noticed he's also been growing his hair out. That's mad off topic, but this is a great fight. I really would like to see how Jake Paul would do against an actual boxer, not someone who was a part of a different dimension. He literally fought Nate Robinson, who was like an NBA player. He did. Then he makes a step up to a 12-1 boxer, which is balls. But he picked him for a reason. I'm sure he was giving Rahman that work in the gym. Either Rahman was going easy, or Jake Paul's really that good. I wonder how this fight is gonna go. Thinking about Rahman's last fight and him coming off of a knockout, this is a good opportunity for Jake Paul to take advantage. Maybe Hasim Rahman may have demons in his head after that knockout about his own stamina. Maybe not. Maybe he might just be like, this Jake Paul dude ain't nothing, and just comes with crazy ass confidence, even though he just got knocked out in this last fight. Not only is this fight a good fight, but it's also a great ass payday for Rahman Jr. Great one. And I wonder how this fight's gonna go. Would it be a knockout or decision? I don't think this fight's gonna go the distance. I mean, it's an 8-rounder. I think they're gonna be both very tired. If it goes the distance, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would want to go for a knockout too. because I think both will get gas, and I think both will hurt each other once in a while. And I wonder who's just going to land on the button first. And I think it's going to be Paul because he has faster hands. So let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this fight. Who do you think will win? Or something else completely random? Anything off topic? Any subject? Anything. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Okay.